The red planet was silently preparing a deadly trap. Just 6 months after the establishment of the first human outpost on Mars, a dust storm capable of ravaging the planet was approaching, and no one knew how devastating it would be. Elon Musk's dream of humanity's future now faced one of nature's most ruthless forces. This story is not just a disaster scenario. It is a true tale of struggle where technology meets the power of human will, and preparation determines the difference between survival and death. And now, you too will witness this extraordinary adventure. Commander Jennifer Rodriguez of Mars Colony Alpha frowned at the data on her screen while reviewing the routine meteorology report at Sol 186. Atmospheric pressure was above normal, and wind speeds were rising. The most alarming sight, however, was the brown cloud mass emerging on the horizon. This was no ordinary weather event. Such a dense formation in Mars' atmosphere could only signal a planet-wide catastrophe. "Michael, come here," Jennifer called, summoning geologist Michael Thompson. Thompson, a tall and composed scientist from Massachusetts, had spent his first 6 months on Mars collecting surface samples. Now, the data he faced presented an unexpected challenge. As Thompson analyzed the data, his expression grew serious. Wind speed had tripled in the last 6 hours. Dust particle concentration had exceeded alarm levels. Worst of all, the rate of change showed exponential growth. "This isn't a normal dust cloud," he muttered, "judging by the speed and coverage. Jennifer, this could be a planet-wide storm." Rodriguez's face turned pale. A planet-wide dust storm meant Mars' entire surface could be deprived of sunlight for months. Solar panels would fail, temperatures would plummet, and most critically, communication with the outside world would be cut off. The colony might face months of isolation with limited resources. "Send an urgent message to Earth," Rodriguez said, struggling to mask the panic in her voice. "Elon Musk needs to know." Now, at SpaceX's Hawthorne Center, the night shift was underway when emergency alarms began to sound. Technical specialist Sarah Chen, stationed at the Mars Communication Center, rushed to Elon Musk's office upon seeing the incoming message. A 29-year-old MIT graduate and one of Musk's most trusted names during critical Mars operations, Chen acted swiftly. Musk was working on Tesla's new battery technology, but the urgent message from Mars changed everything. Global dust storm approaching. Estimate 72 hours before full coverage. Solar array power will be compromised. Requesting immediate contingency protocol activation. Every word confirmed the scenario he had long feared. "Sarah, assemble the emergency team," Musk said, his voice steady, but his eyes resolute. "Also call David Martinez. Tell him to prepare the Mars emergency protocols." "No one's going home tonight," Martinez, SpaceX's Mars operations director and a former NASA engineer, was prepared for such crises. This 45-year-old veteran from Houston bore the responsibility of humanity's presence on Mars. Within 30 minutes, the emergency room at SpaceX headquarters was filled with the best engineers responsible for Mars Colony Alpha's life support systems. "How much time do we have?" Martinez asked, looking around at the gathered team. "At most 72 hours, Musk replied. "We need to send them everything they'll need to survive in that time. But more importantly, we must activate remotely controllable systems. Meanwhile, conditions on Mars worsened by the minute." As Rodriguez reviewed the colony's critical systems, she realized once again how valuable each team member was. Electrical engineer Robert Johnson, a 33-year-old Texan, reported on the energy systems. "Power from our solar panels has dropped 30% in the last 2 hours. If the storm reaches the expected intensity, we could be in total darkness within 48 hours," Lisa Williams, a 29-year-old nuclear energy specialist and MIT graduate responsible for the colony's alternative energy sources, was preparing emergency power protocols. The reactor system is ready, but reaching full capacity will take 48 hours. We'll have to rely on battery systems in the meantime. Conditions at Mars Colony Alpha deteriorated with each passing hour. Wind speeds reached 150 kilometers per hour, and the horizon was no longer visible. Dust particles formed a thick haze, nearly blocking out sunlight entirely. External cameras failed one by one, leaving the colony feeling trapped inside a giant shell. Yet Elon Musk and his team were not idle. A technology developed years ago for just such a scenario was now activated: the Mars Emergency Power System MEPS. This system provided alternative energy sources to replace solar panels during dust storms, relying on small modular nuclear reactors, advanced battery banks, and wind turbines to form a critical power infrastructure for the colony's survival. Lisa, check the nuclear reactor's status, Musk instructed during a video conference with the Mars team, as communication quality began to degrade, but had not yet failed. "Reactor is online, sir," Williams replied, glancing at the green lights on the control panel. "But reaching full capacity will take 48 hours. We need to manage our current resources very carefully in the meantime. Then let's activate the battery systems," Musk said. "We adapted Tesla's new Powerwall technology for Mars conditions. This is the real test. Kevin, start the software optimizations." Kevin Park, a 26-year-old software prodigy and the colony's digital brain from California, was responsible for coordinating all systems on Mars. "We can optimize energy consumption using our AI algorithms," Park said. "The system will automatically detect unnecessary usage and distribute resources according to priority." As the dust storm struck Colony Alpha, the exterior turned hellish. Wind speeds hit 200 kilometers per hour. Dust coated everything. Visibility dropped to zero, and external temperatures fell to 60 C. Inside, however, Musk's technological foresight kept life going. Life support systems operated, oxygen production continued, and heating systems protected the colonists from freezing. Electrical engineer Robert Johnson, sweating as he monitored the emergency power systems, said, "We need to reduce energy consumption by 30%. Otherwise, the batteries will last a maximum of 10 days. If the storm lasts longer." He trailed off as everyone understood the implications. Rodriguez gathered her team to make critical decisions. "We're shutting down all non-essential systems. Only life support, communication, and emergency equipment will remain operational. We'll keep the research labs on minimum power. Meanwhile, on Earth, Musk worked day and night to support the Mars team. SpaceX engineers had calculated everything the colony would need during the storm and began providing assistance with remotely controllable systems. Large screens at the center displayed Mars Colony Alpha's schematic, with every system monitored closely. Amanda Foster, a 31-year-old environmental engineer from Oregon and an expert in the colony's atmospheric systems, reported, "The system is functioning normally, but the external filters are starting to clog. The dust particles are finer than expected. We may need to recalibrate the filtration system. No one goes outside until the storm subsides," Rodriguez said firmly. "We'll find solutions from within." Amanda ran the internal air circulation systems at maximum power. As days passed, conditions grew tougher, but Musk's team continued to innovate. The Mars dust storm was not just an obstacle, but also an opportunity for technological advancement. Each problem they encountered led to new solutions, strengthening their systems. While reprogramming the colony's energy management system, Park said, "Our machine learning algorithms have learned the colonists' behavior patterns. They can now predict energy needs and distribute resources accordingly, achieving 15% more efficient energy use. Botanist Emily Davis, a 28-year-old scientist from Iowa working in the colony's greenhouse, researched how the plants grown on Mars could survive this crisis. The plants were critical, not only as a food source, but also for oxygen production and psychological support. I recalibrated the LED lighting systems, Davis said. We can save energy while enabling photosynthesis. Witnessing these efforts from Earth, Musk marveled once again at his team's talent. This is why we chose the best people, he thought. Creativity and innovation peak in a crisis. When human intelligence and technology unite, nothing is impossible. At Sol 203, the dust storm reached its peak. Visibility on Mars' surface dropped to 0, and external temperatures fell to 80 C, one of the lowest recorded values, putting the colony's thermal insulation systems to a severe test. The atmosphere inside was tense, but Musk's technological infrastructure kept the systems running. Jessica Taylor, a 27-year-old communications specialist from Florida and an expert in space communication systems, had been struggling to maintain contact with Earth for the past 72 hours. Signal strength has dropped to 10%, but we're still connected, she replied to Rodriguez's question. If we activate the backup antenna system, we might maintain the link for a few more days. At this critical moment, Musk sent a special message to boost the Mars team's morale. Friends, you are the heroes of humanity's greatest adventure right now. This storm will pass, and you will prove to the world that permanent life on Mars is possible. Each of you is living this moment to ensure future generations can come to Mars safely. At Sol 215, the storm began to weaken. The first faint rays of sunlight reached the colony's solar panels, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The MAP system had worked flawlessly, keeping the colony operational for 18 days on alternative energy sources. This success was not just a technological triumph, but also a victory of human will. Daniel Wright, a 30-year-old robotics expert from Michigan responsible for the colony's external systems, reported, "External cameras are back online, Commander. Mars' surface is visible again. The storm is moving east and losing intensity." Receiving this news at SpaceX headquarters, Musk felt years of tension dissolve. The engineers around him applauded the update. "Excellent," Musk said with pride. "Now conduct a damage assessment and return the systems to normal operation mode. We have lessons to learn from this experience." After the storm fully subsided, the Mars Colony Alpha team conducted a thorough evaluation. This crisis was not just a survival struggle, but also an experiment that yielded valuable lessons for humanity's future on Mars. Every system was analyzed, every error noted, and every success recorded. Thomas Anderson, a 32-year-old data scientist from Ohio and an expert in big data analysis, would systematically analyze all the information gathered during the crisis. "Commander, this storm taught us a lot," he said. "Our energy management was perfect, but we detected minor inefficiencies in the water recycling system. Addressing these will better prepare us for future crises." As Musk reviewed these reports, he developed new strategies for future Mars colonies. "Every crisis is a learning opportunity," he told his team. This experience proved that living on Mars is not only possible, but also sustainable. We no longer need to fear any dust storm. The Mars dust storm crisis demonstrated the critical importance of the preparations made by Elon Musk and his team over the years. Considering every scenario, developing technology for every possibility, and, most importantly, selecting the right people were the keys to survival. This experience set a significant precedent for humanity's future in space. Rachel Green, a 33-year-old space psychologist from New York and an expert in the psychological effects of long-term space missions, monitored the team's mental health. "Team morale is high, Commander," she replied to Rodriguez's question. "We've emerged from this crisis stronger. We now believe more firmly that we can overcome any challenge on Mars." Mars Colony Alpha's triumphant emergence from the dust storm was one of the greatest steps humanity needed to take in the space age. Elon Musk's vision and technological foresight had protected humanity against one of nature's cruelest tests. This success was not just the survival of a colony, but also a testament to humanity's determination to become a multiplanetary species. This story shows that the combination of preparation, technological innovation, and human will can prove survival is possible even in the harshest conditions. This experience on Mars was a turning point not only for the colonization of the Red Planet, but also for humanity's future in space. The storm had ended, but humanity's story on Mars was just beginning.